Smart 24 TV. This is SMB, and now we head to SMB across borders, where we bring to you what is happening around Uganda borders, and away from there, also on the international, on the global scene, what could be happening from terms of business. We kickstart it with Kenya, where it is freeing, or it has freed over 130 illegal migrants from Ethiopia. Now, Kenya authorities have released 139 Ethiopians who had been held for entering the country illegally. According to the Ethiopian ambassador to Kenya, Meles Alem, the Ethiopians were released from 6 different police cells around the city capital, that is Nairobi. The Ethiopians also had been held in Kiwambu, in Gijiri and Pangani, Jogo, Bururu and also Dandora custody facilities for a period ranging in from 1 time to 9 months. And Mr. Lemi said that the prisoners went back home after they were released on a pardon grant. He, however, earlier on said that neither disclosed the circumstance of their release nor mentioned anywhere where they were freed or when they will be returning home. The diplomat did not also respond to the queries on the same matter. And also I can say that congratulations to those who have been held custody for 9 months and without any clear concern around there, but are now free. They are going to be bonding with their families anytime sooner. And what is happening still on the Ukraine and Russia conflict and how it's affecting the movie or film industry. Disney, Warner, Sony and also halting releases of films in Russia have been halted down after conflicting or having invasions around there. Now Warner Brothers and also Disney, Sony have been halted to the release of films in Russia cinemas after the invasion of Ukraine. The announcement means that the release of major movies, The Batman, Turning Red, and also will not be going ahead as scheduled in the country. This comes as governments around the world have been ramping out with the sanctions against Moscow. In the recent days, global corporations, including car makers and energy giants, have been cut business ties with Russia. Warner Brothers blockbuster, that is The Batman, was due to be released in Russia on Friday. In light of the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, Warner Media is pausing the release of the feature film, that is Batman, and Batman in Russia, a spokesperson said meanwhile there. And Disney has also delayed the Russian release of the Pixar animated film Turning Red. Given the unprovoked invasion of the Ukraine and also tragic humanitarian crisis, they are pausing on the territorial or historical release of those films, like I said earlier or mentioned earlier. But the entertainment giant added that it would not be a non-government organization to provide an agent, and also saying that other humanitarian assistance in regards to refugees. Sony has also been halted onto the release of the Marvel adoption movies in the country. Given the ongoing military action in Ukraine and resulting uncertainty around humanitarian crisis there, you will realize that they have blocked the chain of movies currently showing around there, and plans to be shooting are being also halted down because you never know what is going to be coming up from that side around there. But as we conclude on this one, you also see that Meta, and when we speak Meta, that means we're going directly to Facebook, which is owning Facebook around there. It said it would restrict as well the access of the European Union, the state-owned media outlet, and Twitter as well, in regards to any release that would be coming out from there. So you're seeing how the war or the conflict does not only affect maybe 2 governments, but as well any associates in conjunctions of those countries. As is now down because no one is willing to travel to Ukraine or Russia to just tour around because of the ongoing conflicts. And one as well other sectors that are being affected highly is the movie industry and maybe the music industry. I mean, where would you post a concert right now in Ukraine and you want to maybe to sing around, or you want people to converge and maybe show cinema, or even doing music video shootings? So all that kind of business at this moment as we speak is currently, you know, halted down because no one is willing to risk their life for that particular matter. But what do we learn from here during investment or during any, I can say, any integrations in business? You will realize that if you want to invest into something, maybe, of course, no one knows at some point that there is going to be an uncertainty, but is there any backup? Is there any backup at least? Because you're getting to know, you're getting to learn that now the movie like Batman, the movie like Red in Russia, they're not going to be coming out soon. That in case there could have been, you know, any backup or any backup stages in regards to the shooting, maybe they could release it from maybe some other country or some other cities, but that was not considered. So sometimes insecurities that arise from different scenes around the country are great bounds or great obstructions towards development in certain sectors, like I mentioned earlier. But still, not only entertainment, not only tourism is being affected, but also energy ministries or energy sectors are being affected as well. And African market, US is seeking up to the game in Scramble for Africa in regards to that. You will realize that the US government is working towards deepening the engagement with African governments, and the world's largest economy is seeking to expand trade investment opportunities in the continent amidst the scramble control of Africa's natural resources by the world's powerful nation as China and Russia scramble around there. But the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Akune Cook said that the country has not done enough in deepening and the presence in the continent within around 1.3 billion people. And if they were to take away any challenge, it would really challenge the U.S. and the U.S. government to really step up the game, and also telling reporters that Johannesburg and South Africa last week were seen one of the targets for the continents or to be conjoined with the US. And also moving further, they have been behind of a curve for quite some time in terms of taking advantage of opportunities on the continent. And this is to the effort of modernizing out goods, tools, and also better telling stories to ensure that they are creating awareness among own investors and other companies as opportunities grow. Ms. Cook also told media around that Africa's acting chief operating officer that the four-country African economic diplomacies visiting or covering Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and Namibia starting from February will be visited by that is by the African acting chief operations officer to make sure they mitigate at least and handling ways on how to make sure everything comes on to normal back again. But earlier on, I mentioned how not only Ukraine and Russia war is affecting the developments around there, but it's creating to African countries, like we just mentioned earlier. You're seeing now a tour that is going to be happening discussing, because Africa is one of the continent now are raising concerns in regards to what is happening in Ukraine. We have seen a lot of support on social media from African countries, South Africa. Countries or states tend to take sides for the different reasons that they have got, whether supporting or defending or aligning with the US government, aligning with Russia or Ukraine or whatever. But what do we learn from here, or what is the way to go after this all? Remember, we have got a generation to protect, we have got families to feed, we have got as well, I mean, a picture, or I can say reputation to keep as nations, as countries. So at some point, even though the two giants have got conflictions or have got fights, there has to be some limitations, because at some point the decisions leaders or governors or any authorities make for interruptions with in defense really of certain countries, for example Russia and Ukraine, at some point are going to turn back. Because I mean, if you take, for example, if Uganda, I'm using it as an example, is taking the side of Russia, for example, that means at some point after this is all gone, maybe the US could probably, the relationship or the relations with maybe a country like Uganda or US could be affected in regards to trading, in regards on how they are doing business together. So this in turn is going to affect the citizens on how they attain their sustainable living around there. But now let us look at how the confliction around there is helping out or deflecting out on the Ukraine and on the Shell and Russia's investment, which is again selling onto Russian investment in regards to energy. Ukraine and Russia conflict has actually caused a Shell to sell Russian investments due to that particular war. Now Shell is to end all of its joints over the Russian energy companies Gazprom for Ukraine. The move will be on the oil giant that is around 27.5 natural gas plant, and Shell's chief executive Ben Van said the company was shocked by the loss of life in Ukraine, and it follows similar moves by the PB, which is also an offloading its shares around there in Russia state owned by the Rosneft. Shell was also a Kuwait flagship and Sakhalin, the second facility, which is at 50% owned and operated by Gazprom. It will also be sold off at 50% stake in two sovereign of oil field projects, as well as ending its involvement in the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline from financing, among the mixed other companies. The one under the Baltic Sea had already was put on hold by Germany ministers. And in a statement issued earlier on this week, Shell highlighted that it is expecting a move which will apply to any related entities to make sure that Gazprom would be worth about $3 billion US, that's around 2.2 billion euros. Now Shell's decision follows that is a BP, which announced that it would offload the stake in Russia's state-owned oil firm Rosneft, which is also being held accountable since 2013. Now BP boss Bernard Looney also said that he would which with immediate effect actually having played a part on since 2000 alongside chairman Sun Chin, who is also a friend of Russian President Putin. And the associated costs will be marked on the balance sheet later on, and Shell not taking long after all, it is exiting the Russian oil gas interest. While no one nears a scale of BP's potential and now Shell would US dollars as it offloads any interests in which a partner of state-owned Gazprom will be highlighting around there. And you will realize that most companies are now on to sell, like the advertising, like who wants to take me up, I am just here. But again, who is willing again to take downfall, like I can say? I mean, there is a conflict that is happening, and even when you're advertising for your farm to be taken on or for your farm to be sold, even the one taking it on at that particular time has to consider loss for that particular period. For example, even when I'm buying something from Russia at this particular point, you have to accept that you're going to, yes, you're buying a loss. In fact, you're buying a loss, because what business at this point is actually making sounds and there to be exposed or there to be highlighted on and to be, you know, cherished? You find that a lot of businesses are going down. So even when you're buying it, for example, Shell now, the Russian Shell has been sold or has been, you know, been out of business. But this means that even the one taking it on, it will get revamped after some time now. You will realize how many number of vehicles are now on the move or on a particular day, especially around the cities there. You find the number of movements are limited in Russia because of the conflict. Most people now are tending to just stay at home. Maybe even in Ukraine, most people want to just be calm in their houses because you never know what is going to come. But as I conclude on the Russian oil, the shell that has been sold, you will realize that the firm will be paying around 11 billion US dollars charge, and it is going to be rating it off from the exchange loss that have been accumulating for over the last few years, and another charge relating on the value of its stake. And the Norwegian oil gas producer Equinor has also announced its exit from Russia on Monday, saying that it would be beginning the process of exiting earlier on, joining the ventures in 2 other countries. And it is saying the ongoing conflict means that the position of untabled Canadian prime ministers will also be announced around Canadian ban crude oil importing from Russia. Very well. I can see that a lot of companies now are quitting, especially in the gas and energy sector there. Then I see also an opportunity for a country like Uganda or African countries. I mean, if the Norwegian company as well is quitting from the energy, why not bring the investment? You're welcome to invest around here because we're anticipating our energy project around the country. So very well, that would bring us at least relations in regards to that. But moving on, and how top African currencies, or Africa's top currency, that is the Ghanaian cedi, is now the worst among the Africa's top currencies. Let us see why it is so. The Ghanaian cedi is now the worst performing currency among Africa's top countries according to Bloomberg, and this follows by Zambian kwacha, which is depreciating for around 6.0% in 2020. The International Media and Research Organization rated on the Ghana cedi as the best performing currency in the world against the United States dollar. But Ghana and Zambian economies have been battling with fiscal pledges and also whistles on their raising debt have created fears among the investors, highlighting that the economic outlook is still uncertain for them. Whereas Zambia's agreed to the International Monetary Fund bailed out around 1.4 billion US dollars in December 2021 for crucial 3-year program of the restructuring its debt. Ghana is doubtful about the Bretton Woods institution for similar program to rebuild or build investor credibility. Crude oil around there has been sold over 100,000 US dollars per barrel, but foreign inflows from the commodity have done little to help subsidize the cedi. But however, the 5-year 4.5 billion country partnership framework from the World Bank is also being expected to inject with some dollar inflows around the economy, helping show us value around the cedi. And the Gambia's dollars, which with the new Sudanese pound and Ethiopia birr, all among African currencies, the worst spot return is around reported by the cedi. That is according to Bloomberg. Very well. Now let us discuss why do we see an Africa's top currency, that was Ghana, highlighting in 2020. So between 2020, 2021, the changes started happening with the SEDI. Why do you think so? You can drop the comment around there. But what I have got to say is COVID-19 has seen great changes, has created different changes and different inequalities around the economies. You will realize two countries that are highlighted for being indebted a lot and their public debt getting worse and affecting their currency is Ghana and then Zambia. These are two countries mostly that have seen the worst experience with COVID-19, halting them down, especially when it comes to the public debt. So that when the public debt has increased, or when the public debt increases, you're going to realize the citizens are going to start paying a lot of money. The money will be less than expected, actually, because there is no money in circulation at some point. So you will realize that the costs of transactions are going to be increasing, and that also comes with the cost of goods. The cost of goods are going to be, rising high, and that means it is going to be bound for those only who can afford. And I mean, I'm seeing that happening even here. The bar of soap now is at 7,000, and I can say a quarter of it is just 2,000, the moderate one. So how can we try to mitigate all these ways? Because this is a lesson that we're learning around here. If the SEDI can just drop within less than a year, how about the shilling? Well, we see our public debt now that is approximated almost to 50%, and if we reach a 50% of our gross domestic produce or product, I mean, where do we head to? But again, it's not just a percentage, but on the interest of our borrowing, we'll get back, or the interest on which we borrow or from how we borrow is the determinant, or bound to determine whether we're going to peak, whether the public debt is going to make us down. But from what is happening with all the inflation producers, the agriculture producers remain a bit moderate. I mean, the inflation is not too much on the agriculture producers, but the factory producers are seeing a number of inflation, especially here. Everyone tends, to sell according to what they want. The government is not putting up more standards around there. So that one poses a highlight, or poses a concern around public on how sustainably we will be continuing around there. And that is all we had for S&B across borders, where we bring to you those highlights, what is happening around the international or global scene in regards to business information. Make sure you drop that comment around there. Be a part of the conversation at Smart24 TV on our social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitter. And you can surely catch me up at Rita Cabanyoro. We take a break. We do return with more S&B reports to take you through, and not forgetting that we have got a weather highlight coming up your way, and how you expect the day, how it will be faring, or how it will be ongoing. And also, you'll be inspired today with the business quote that will be coming up shortly. We take a break. We do return.